All right, everyone, welcome into another Wednesday night featuring Miami Canes football talk here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, 8 o'clock Eastern time each and every week, featuring first and foremost Cam Underwood from State of the U. Cam, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm getting ready for the season, so I got my jersey on. Coach put me in the game. You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready.
Nice.
Yeah.
What number are we sporting tonight?
Got the stick.
Oh, there it
Number
is.
1. Yeah. So you can see it on the shoulders too. Sorry, I know it's inverse on the camera, so I'm trying to get that right. But yeah, I got number 1 jersey on, so that's what they have for us and everything. So yeah, I got my white jersey on. Stormtroopers out this piece, to match the headphones and whatnot. So coordination. We do this.
Very nice, very nice. Do we know what team is considered to be the home team in week 0?
I think that the Miami Hurricanes are on the home sideline, but for non-conference games such as this, that isn't necessarily the home designation. So I'm not sure.
So if I'm counting this up correctly, we are 3 days away from a Saturday, 4 weeks from Saturday. I believe that if I'm doing the math correctly, we are just 4 weeks away from being able to talk real college football, watch it, talk about it, and then we will just, not that we have things to run out, that we run out of topics at this point, but when we'll be just flooding the hour when we're talking about the previous game and then looking forward to the next game, starting here in just 4 or 5 weeks, of course, with the Florida game, then a bye week, and then back into action with a week 2 at that point of college football. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please lock it in. The super chat is on. Please contribute to what we do here in providing the best in discussion, debate, and analysis. And certainly you Canes fans who appreciate the work of Cam Underwood from State of the U and him giving us this hour each week. Please respond accordingly. So the boys hit the field on July 26th, which is, of course, a week earlier than they typically would because of the August 24th start. There's a number of storylines that we've been kicking around the entire offseason, but as we get down to crunch time, Cam, what are you thinking about? What would be the anticipation of what are those first few tidbits from camp that you would hope to hear?
I mean, the things that everybody wants to hear. Number 1, quarterback. Like, it's the topic that's been on everybody's mind. Obviously, Miami has not had not even league average performance from the quarterback position in the last year and a half. And I know that Malik Rozier did have some good counting stats in 2017, but even if you dug a little bit deeper than that, there were chinks in that armor, as it were. So yeah, you definitely want to hear about the quarterbacks, see what they're doing, hear how they're doing, because, again, and I said this last week, and it's been multiply reported, first by Manny Navarro of The Athletic, but then also Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald and others. Miami wants to get this whittled down within the first 2 weeks. To a starting quarterback. That means that first week is going to be taking it from 3 to 2. So whoever is that number 3 quarterback after the first week, thank you for your input. Thank you for your continued hard work. But we're going to look at these other 2 to be the starter for this year, and then take it from 2 to 1 after that second scrimmage with 2 weeks left, and then that gives the number 1 quarterback all the number 1 reps for those last 2 weeks. Your full install for the game, things like that. So you definitely want to hear and see about quarterbacks. That has to be where it starts. Additionally, another thing that we always talk about is no injuries. You just don't want to hear that. You don't want to see that. No Lorenzo Lingard gets hurt in practice because a scout team player decided to try to go all out and, tore his knee apart. You don't want to hear about Amon Richards or Malik Young, having a career-ending injury or something like that. You don't want to hear any of those things. So obviously being healthy all the way through camp, or as healthy as possible, is a big key. And there's already going to be reserve linebackers and some people who are working their way back from prior injuries, who are not going to be full go at the beginning of camp. So yeah, staying healthy is a key. And also because, as I have spoken about on here before, Miami has top-level talent on the roster to compete with almost anybody, but the depth is not there. So if you start whittling away the starting 22 and start saying, okay, well, yeah, this guy's injured and this guy's injured, now you're taking away from the actual game-ready talent that makes Miami the going away favorite in my mind in the Coastal Division, although it was voted otherwise by the assembled ACC media at ACC Kickoff, and maybe we can talk about that later. So number 1, quarterback. Number 2, injuries. Number 3, offensive line. You just got to have that. And that is the key to everything on the offense. Bryant McKinney has been helping out on campus. The Outland Trophy winner, first-round draft pick, I believe Super Bowl winner in the NFL. Bryant McKinney has been coming back to help out the offensive line. Brett Romberg has been helping him out. There was somebody else, Vernon Carey. That's who it was. So, the other day, they've been coming down a couple times a week to help the offensive line with film study and technique and cohesion. So Bryant McKinney has been working with the tackles, Vernon Carey with the guards, and Brett Romberg with the centers. And, all those guys are local. Obviously, Vernon Carey's son, Vernon Carey Jr., just committed to Duke as the number 2 overall basketball recruit because he outgrew his father. I think he's 6'10", 6'11", and Vernon Carey Sr. is 6'5" or 6'6" an offensive lineman. But anyway, he was a local high school basketball player. So he's able to come back. Brett Romberg hosts a radio show down here. He's able to come back. Bryant McKinney moved down here after finishing his NFL career. So having those guys back on campus should hopefully help the offensive line. And then additionally, just what's going to shake out in the secondary, because that's the real, other question on the team. So, really going into camp, the questions on the team are what need to be answered. Who's going to play quarterback? What's up with the offensive line? Hopefully no injuries. And who's going to step up in the secondary? I think, and especially at cornerback, because you have Trajan Bandy, who was nominated for the Thorpe Award this week, or on the watch list at least. He's going to be your number 1 cornerback. You have talent at safety in Gervin Hall and Amari Carter. Bubba Bolden should be on campus during fall camp, but not at the very beginning of fall camp. And then you have that second and third cornerback slots between DJ Ivey, Al Blaze Jr., maybe a Christian Williams working his way into that rotation. But it's thin at cornerback. And honestly, as Miami only has 6 cornerbacks on the roster. So you want to see that they work everything out. So those are the things that you want to hear and want to see. And just before I got on here, I just looked at my Twitter. So it's actually pretty cool. Miami's opening the first practice on Friday, but it's only for the first 1,000 fans. And you have to register on the link that Manny Diaz posted. And I think that Canes football posted it as well. So it's only for the first 1,000, and you can go in, and the full practice is going to be open on the first day. And obviously it's only headgear. It's not even shells, because you have 2 days of acclimation before you can actually put on pads and start hitting, just because that's the way the football works. And, legally and with the physicians, we've come to this kind of general consensus that you need 2 days of acclimation. But on day 1, opening night, because the practice is a night practice on Friday, that's open to the first 1,000 fans who sign up. So if you're listening to this later, because we're recording this on a Wednesday night, if you're listening to this on Thursday or Friday, the 1,000 spots are probably gone. If you're listening to this right now, I hope that you open up a separate tab on whatever browser you're using to try to do that. But yeah, so that'll be cool, because Miami has not had an open practice as such in, I don't remember when. Maybe it was right after I graduated undergrad. So you're talking 2004, 2005, if then, where there was an open practice such as this. And like to the general public, not to like the donors or somebody who has a connection, or, like you have a credential through a website, so you're there for the media portion, but just like Johnny come lately, like whoever it is, like you're, Jorge from Hialeah, and you want to come on down. Like there's not been a practice like that in a long time. But when you go to that practice, obviously you're going to want to see how things go. And you're not really going to get much information from the first practice. You're not going to say, oh, yeah, Jaron Williams was the number 1 quarterback and he took all the reps and nobody else did. But, yeah, quarterback, no injuries, offensive line, and secondary. That's where I'm looking for the answers, first of all, in camp. And, hopefully we get those and we move forward.
Yeah, you're not going to glean a whole lot from the boys running around in shorts. It's just a cool experience. It's about the experience. It's about getting close to the players and feeling the vibe and the culture of the team and getting that feel. As we break 101, joining us on the live chat, and Cam mentions Trajan Bandy being named to the Thorpe watch list, and Navon Donaldson, offensive line, named to the Outland Trophy watch list, and Shaq Waterman and Jonathan Gervin to the Nagurski Trophy watch list, as I read that straight from State of the U. Tons of people on the line. We're up to 102. Austin Canes jumps in here right away to let me know, hey, Mark, did you see Manny Diaz on the ESPN campus yesterday? It's funny that you say that, because that did not connect until just a second ago when I read that. I was in the cafeteria. I walked by the TV screen, the monitor in the cafeteria, and I see Manny Diaz up there, and I didn't blink. I just kept walking. And as soon as you asked that question, it connects that I don't know if he was in Charlotte at our Charlotte studios, because he was on the main campus. So
main campus, I saw that, yeah.
That he was being so Full disclosure here. So I'm on the production operations management team that runs the studios, the production rooms, and all of that. And so we're the department that is responsible for all studio programming and the remote sites that run all the games. So basically, when I saw that Manny Diaz was, I don't know, 400 or 500 feet away from me behind a few walls and a few studio layers, but I just didn't process and post as I see something similar on a fairly regular basis. All right. What else do we have here? Anything else on the line? We, of course, invite your comments and your questions.
Oh, yeah. I'll just
Jump
jump
in.
right back in because I forgot that I even said that. So at ACC kickoff, the assembled media selected Virginia as the favorites to win the ACC Coastal Division,
Oh, boy.
which I wrote about on the website. And the margin was 1,003 points for Virginia to 992 points for Miami. So it was very close. They had way more first place votes, did Virginia, than Miami. Sorry, hold on. I need to get back there. No! My computer is not doing what it needs to do right now. I do apologize. But yeah, so Virginia was picked as like the favorite, but like barely in the Coastal. And as I've spoken about on here, I still just don't see it. Like Miami has the most talent in this division by far. And it's really not even close. Here we go. There's the piece with 14 comments and 10 new ones. I need to check those out on stateoftheview.com, by the way. So Virginia had 82 first place votes in the Coastal and Miami had 55. But the difference was only 11 points. So I think that I think the people in general think of Miami almost higher than Virginia because like the gap is large in first place votes, which means that the gap in points should be large, but the points differential is small, which means I think that the people had Miami second place more times than they had Virginia. So like a lot of people put Virginia first or like third or lower, and that's how I think Miami made up those points. So I mean, yeah, it's not that anybody is like the prohibitive favorite in that. Now, in the other division, 171 first place votes went to Clemson versus 2 for Syracuse. End of the list. And I mean, in the Coastal Division, there was Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh. Everybody got a first place vote, at least one, in the Coastal Division. So, I mean, it was a little bit different. But yeah, I still, this is, call it what you want. Call it cocky Miami fan. Call it whatever you want. But don't call it clickbait, because I'm not saying this because I'm trying to get you to engage. I'm not doing this because I don't believe it. I honestly and truly believe this. Miami has the most talent, and it is going to come to pass that Miami plays to the caliber of their talent. I believe that to be this year. I've believed that to be previous years and was proven wrong because Miami has found a way to play down to their opponents. But, I think that Miami is in such a good place at pretty much every position group and upgraded on the offensive coaching side so far that, and Virginia has to come down here, and they squeaked by. People were talking about, they whooped our ass last year. They won 16-13, and their all-star quarterback, who everybody loves all of a sudden, threw for 92 yards. They had 200 yards of total offense. Like, get out of my face. You know what I mean? So I just don't see it. I honestly don't see it how you could pick Virginia over Miami. I just don't see it. I know that Brock Mendenhall is doing a good job. I know that Bryce Hall is he's the best cornerback in the ACC, maybe the best cornerback in the nation. Bryce Hall for Virginia. He's damn good. And I'm not trying to, sell you anything else. I'm not trying to say that he's not. But one player does not a program make. And him being that good does not overcome the dearth of talent on the Virginia roster as opposed to Miami. So, sorry. I'm getting so hyped up. I'm hitting my computer and everything. My bad. So Miami was picked second in the Coastal. I don't agree with that. And, coming up in 1 month from today, we're going to start that path towards seeing, who is going to win that division. And I wholeheartedly believe it's going to be the Miami Hurricanes. And I dare and defy them or anybody else to prove me wrong. But the thing about it is, I have dared and defied them to prove me wrong previously, and they have done that. So maybe I should stop doing that, and they'll do their job. I'll think about that.
Yeah, so Cam, anytime you want to get wound up, the people love it. So you have the allowance here to get wound up because we get the intellectual Cam, and we actually, I think Cam, you are sometimes so well spoken that people sometimes lose your passion. I've heard that a few times about, and I think, my goodness, if some passion doesn't always have to be expressed in just, and Cam, I believe, is very boisterous as well.
Yeah.
But for me to have to explain your passion, my goodness, if anybody's passionate about anything,
Right.
this guy's on my top 5 list of any subject of any person that I know.
Now I appreciate that, and like I appreciate the fact that people see that I'm well spoken. Like I do think of myself as a learned person and things of that nature. Like I will openly tell you that I played sports, but I was a nerd bomber. Like y'all know I was a choir director for years. I know that you look down on music and the pursuit thereof, but like those are things that I'm like not just like tier level. Oh, I can sing a note. Like I know all the processes and I know all the things going down the line. But in so far as like I've been blogging and running a website and things of that nature, I have subjugated my fandom a little bit in the pursuit of like pragmatism, because I've always tried to be a pragmatic person, like make sense of things, not just be a homer and say, oh, it's orange and green, it's going to be da, 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 da. Now, okay, yeah, if you're talking about having more talent on the roster than anybody else, that's Miami, and that's not debatable in the Coastal Division. Like, I mean, duh. I would say Miami is the second most talented team in the ACC. I mean, the only other team that you could put up there by them would be Florida State, who recruited well previously, but performed poorly with this new coach. But yeah, I mean, I don't need to yell at you all of the time. And that's what I used to tell my students when I taught, like I can mean something without yelling it. It's like being in a relationship. Like I can talk to you and we can like go out, we can communicate without it having to get to the point of I'm yelling and screaming and throwing something and you're yelling and screaming and throwing something. And hypothetically, I have not committed any kind of crime on that nature, but you know what I mean, where you can be with somebody or in some kind of connection and not have to like yell and scream to get your point across. That's what I think of myself. But if I have to get a little louder so y'all feel me, which is one of the tenets of like my life, like you do things with passion and purpose that is outwardly visible, then maybe I got to turn the volume up a little bit. And you know what? I got this good microphone. I got these good pipes, thank you, grandfather, for those, genetics and everything. But yeah, if I got to turn the volume up so that y'all feel me on this, then you'll feel me and you'll hear me. So, I mean, Mark, I appreciate the feedback. So, I'll govern myself accordingly moving forward.
And when it comes to passion, the emotion is tied to the passion, but a lot of people can maybe show some passion about a particular subject or a particular vocation in life or something, and it basically expresses itself as excitement in the moment. But show me the person who on day 20 and day 30 and day 100 is still working at that particular vocation or that particular subject. And that's the true passion being manifested over time.
Well, there's that. And, people always want to say that it's easy to be hype when things are good. 10-0 in 2017. Oh, yeah. Da, 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 da. Where was I? Oh, hey, that light just changed. Anyway, but pragmatic. Like, yes, Miami's 10-0, but this quarterback isn't doing what he needs to do. And the offense has issues and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So I've been here so long. I was talking to my mom, who's here at the house right now, talking about how long you and I have been on here doing videos and, chats and whatnot. Like, I've been the same person every time that you've seen my face, every time that our listeners have heard my voice. Win, lose, draw. Like, yeah, obviously there's things to work on, but like I approach life. I approach, the Miami Hurricanes, the State of the U website that I manage and create and edit and cultivate content for, bro. I approach it the same way. Win, lose, or draw. I'm always going to be here. I'm not going to hide. People want to at me on Twitter. Oh, Ken, where you at? Oh, y'all lost to whoever. And I will invariably at that person back or quote tweet it. I'm right here. So I'm going to be right here. And I'm passionate about the Miami Hurricanes. I'm an alum. I bleed orange and green. I'm not going anywhere. Like, I mean, I will travel and I will watch the games and things like that. 2020 at Michigan State. I'm from Detroit, and it's like an hour and a half drive up to East Lansing. You think I'm not going to be there? I will absolutely be there. But yeah, I'm not going to just yell and scream all the time, because like eventually if you yell and scream too much, people are going to tune you out. But I am going to bring you my honest opinions, commentary and analysis, and hopefully we can connect on that level. But yeah, I'm going to be here all the time. And for those people who say that, the fact that I am well-spoken and I don't yell or scream enough doesn't accurately portray my passion, I thank you for the feedback. and you'll see different.
So I will say about the Virginia selection by the media versus Miami being in second place by the overall media that covers the ACC, that number one, what Cam said is not debatable by anybody out there. Doesn't necessarily always translate to a championship, but Miami has the best talent. Now, if they had a better recruiting class 1 year than Virginia, 15th ranked versus 18th ranked, that's indecisive. No, we're talking about class after class after class after class after class, rated between like 8th and 20th in the country versus like 35th and 60th in the country. There's no comparison between the two rosters. That doesn't always translate on the field. Cam, so I'll say two things. Even though you don't agree, and I don't know if I agree yet because I've yet to make my selection. I'm leaning probably 80-20 Miami, and I'm giving a little bit of thought to Virginia Tech, actually. But Virginia second, Virginia Tech third. Yes, I am. I'm giving it some thought.
Okay.
But yes, Miami undoubtedly is the best roster, and I do believe in the vibe brought by Manny Diaz, even if he makes some mistakes. I think that the locker room's been energized by the commitment to winning, by the energy, by all of that, and getting rid of, even though he's a very capable coach in his prime, he just had run out of gas and just gave up, and that would be Mark Richt. Okay, but the vote speaks to two things. People see the upward trend that Virginia is on. I was about to say apparently, but it's not apparently. Bronco Mendenhall is very capable. He won 100 and only lost 49 at BYU. They were ranked almost every season he was there. They have obviously taken a step back. So he's proven himself in his absence at BYU and then taking over at Virginia and going from 2 wins to 6 to 8 with a big bowl victory. So there's an upward trajectory there that I think people believe in. And then also, because of the disparity in the votes that you outlined, I think it speaks to there being an understanding that even for those writers that did not pick Miami, they believe in the talent to a degree to say second place vote, second place vote, second place vote, where Virginia's got all these firsts and they probably have a ton of fourths and fifths, and they're all that people don't know, but people believe in the Miami talent at least being in contention for the division.
No, I think that's true. And I would say, I know you're 80-20 between Miami and Virginia Tech, which is crazy.
Virginia, then Virginia Tech.
Oh, Virginia, then Virginia.
Kind of sharing that 20%.
Oh, okay. I misheard.
To some degree.
But still, I mean, yeah, maybe I am cocky Miami fan on this point, but Miami needs to do what Miami needs to do. Miami has the best roster, has the best talent, and I think that Miami's going to win. And we'll see, if they succeed in playing down to the level of their opponents or down and below even in things. But yeah, I mean, and I hear you about Bronco Mendenhall. I hear you about his time out there, but it's a new day. It's the Manny Diaz era. #TNM. Let's go win games.
So for anybody that's asking questions, making comments on the live chat that want to be heard, keep in mind that anything prior to 8:15 has been lost on my feed. So what happens is that there's been a lot of comments and questions, and it continues to escalate, and therefore the early comments are lost. So my apologies there. 904 Hurricane invites everyone to hit the like button. Okay. It's been asked by several people, one particular person most succinctly, just for you to kind of review where the recruiting class stands, give a recruiting update, give us a what could be next.
That is a great question. Chance Williams committed to Miami last weekend, defensive end from Oak Leaf High School. That is the same school as Jalen Rivers, his good friend, the same school that Shaq Quarterman and Darian Owens before him, linebackers, both attended. So Miami has 22. Yes, Cream Slater, I agree. We cannot be mad about the ACC votes saying that we have more talent. We have to prove it. You're right. Anyways, so Chance Williams is commitment number 22 to the recruiting class for 2020. Miami is hosting an invite-only event on Saturday, I want to say. I don't think they would do the same day as the open practice on Friday. But either way, Friday or Saturday, they're having a recruiting event, like with hand-selected guys who are coming down. That would be guys like Marcus Clark, from Orlando Orange Park or Winter Park, excuse me, high school, who's a cornerback running in the 4.5s, very athletic guy at 5'11", who's apparently risen up the cornerback recruiting chart. You know, you have the same guys who you've been recruiting, chasing after Isaiah Walker Jr. from Miami Norland, who, according to the Florida State 247 site, says that he's going to visit a school this weekend, but has not indicated what school, and we will know what school he's going to visit when he shows up on campus somewhere. So we will see about that. It could be Florida State. It could be, I mean, I hope it's Miami. I hope that he did an interview with Florida State's, recruiting writers and then pops up in Coral Gables again in the indoor practice facility. That would be wonderful. I like that question. Give me a second. So there are things to be done on the recruiting side. Obviously, you need a running back. Obviously, you need another wide receiver with talent. You need a couple offensive linemen, things like that. So that's kind of the general reset. I am working on this month's class breakdown, which is going to post next week, whilst I have another summer trip. Hint, 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 hint. So don't look for my face on next week, Wednesday. But hopefully this is the last time I won't be around, but there should be something coming on that. So I will give you plenty of narrative that way coming up. Now, the question from the Punisher was, to me, was Paradise Camp a success or failure? Do you have any early QB predictions? And what is our strongest area on offense and defense? So that's 3 questions. One, I believe the Paradise Camp is always a success. Miami always gets great talent down to Coral Gables for this event. And not only talent for the current recruiting class, but the subsequent years recruiting classes as well. Even if you look at guys who ended up going elsewhere, like a Jerry Jeudy, he was at 2 years of Paradise Camp. You get Darnell Washington in from Las Vegas, the number 1 tight end in America. He's in the current class, but you get what I'm saying. There's, 20, 21, 22 kids who were there who really showed out as well. So, I mean, it was a success. And, you got a couple commitments out of that. You got Chris Washington, the offensive lineman from Nashville, 6'7", 270, a couple other guys. And I didn't really prepare this list. So I'm, forgive me if I forget a couple names. But yeah, you got 3 or 4 commitments that weekend. For the classes of 2020 and 21, got a bunch of kids on campus. You saw the new practice facility. You had one-on-one competition and things like that. And you had the guys in the class who were recruiting for Miami. Don Chaney, Tyler Van Dyke, all those guys were recruiting other kids to come to Miami. So I think it was a success. I always do, honestly, as long as things continue on the Paradise Camp front, as well as they have been, it will be a success. Do I have any early QB predictions? I won't say it's a prediction, but y'all already know. And if you're new here and you don't know, I am the president of the N'Kosi Perry fan club. I have been since forever. So I personally, as a fan, would like to see him win the job. But whoever is the best quarterback and gives Miami the chance to win the most games and perform the best on the field, I'm with them. Strengths on offense and defense. The strengths on offense in general are the skill positions, wide receiver, running back, and tight end, just because the amount of talent and the type of talent. There's just elite players, 3, 4 deep at each position. On defense, it's linebackers. You could call it front 7 if you want to. Linebackers and edge rushers. Obviously, there's talent at defensive tackle that needs to improve. But so I would say, if not just the linebackers by themselves in the front 7 on defense, those are the things that are the strengths on those 2 sides of the ball. Another question, Carlos Wilkerson. Appreciate the contribution and your question. Did I see the gym rats? No, I was actually out to dinner with my mom and family yesterday, so I did not get a chance to check out the Gym Rats episode on the Miami summer workout program on ESPN2 last night. I did DVR it. I am going to check it out probably pretty soon, but I did not get to see it as it actually aired because, family comes first, so I was with my family. Duh.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down Miami each and every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And if you want to get your anger up and get a lather going, Miami fans, you watch us at 7 o'clock talk about Florida State.
Boo.
That helps support the channel. You watch some Florida State football, you keep an eye on the rival, right? That's what you need to do. Let's get those Florida State numbers up at 7 o'clock. And then
I
if you
mean,
really want to get a historic lather up, you stay tuned for some Ohio State talk at 9:00.
I am a native Michigander. Absolutely, TF not. I refuse. And you know, at my old apartment, I had the picture of Michigan Stadium, the big house, from a game behind me. Like, I grew up as a Michigan fan. I'm a native Michigander. I went to Miami, obviously, and I was here in this house in Fort Lauderdale watching that Fiesta Bowl robbery. Nope. And look, if you have people who want to watch and support, I openly invite them to do that. But me myself personally, I respectfully decline such an invitation.
Hey, Cam, I instantly thought of you this week. Did you see the several editions on NFL Live? Now, I did not see it to be able to comment on the rundown that they had. Obviously, it's a time of year with training camp just coming up in about a week or so for the NFL camps, or maybe they've come to camp at this point, but basically not a whole lot of news out of camp. So they were sizing up, and I don't even know where this bracket style breakdown started, but at the point that I picked it up, and again, I didn't hear any of the analysis. I saw it on monitors all over the place.
Okay.
They were breaking down the biggest NFL college football factories of all time. And I saw the Final Four as USC, Alabama, Ohio State, Miami. I don't know if they started with 48 or 24, what they did, but they got down to those four.
Right.
I don't know if you saw any of that.
I did. And, people were, obviously posting the screenshots on Twitter and everything. So here's my all-time Miami team that ESPN came up with. You're on offense: Jim Kelly, Edgerrin James, Frank Gore, Michael Irvin, Andre Johnson, Jeremy Shockey, Bryant McKinney, Eric Winston, Jim Otto, who's a little older but still was a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Joaquin Gonzalez, because Joaquin said dominate, and Leon Searcy. On defense, Warren Sapp, Cortez Kennedy, Vince Wilfork, Calais Campbell, Ray Lewis, Jonathan Vilma, Ted Hendricks, Hall of Famer, Sean Taylor, the late great, Antro Roll, Philip Buchanan, and Ed Reed. That was the first team. And then somebody hopped in my mentions, Mark Ardois, and he said, okay, here's the second team. And I'm just going to highlight guys on the second Miami team: Bernie Kosar, Willis McGahee, Reggie Wayne and Santana Moss, Greg Olson, Vernon Carey, Brett Romberg, Kenny Holmes, Jerome Brown, Russell Maryland, Michael Barrow, Armstead, Morgan. That was the second team. Here's the third team that Mark Ardois also sent to me: Ken Dorsey as quarterback, Duke Johnson and Alonzo Highsmith, Lamar Thomas and Brett Perriman, Bubba Franks, Richard Mercier, Cristobal, Bibla, Flowers, who was the number 8 overall pick. I know that he hasn't been great in the NFL. Greg Mark and Jerome McDougal at defensive end, Mike Rumpf, Kelly Jennings, Mo Sykes, Winston Moss at a linebacker. Like, the depth is ridiculous. And on the list that ESPN put up on the screen, the amount of talent that was left off of that list is ridiculous. And look, that was 3 teams of offense and nary a mention of Heisman Trophy winner and 22-year NFL veteran Vinny Testaverde.
Or Gino Torretta, Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback.
Yo, what? What? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like, the answer is this: y'all can debate whatever you want. Hey, Cam, do we steal Leonard Manuel back from UF? He has been coming to visit off. Has he? Leonard Manuel from Ocala Vanguard used to play with N'Kosi Perry. Been coming to visit often? I don't believe so. I don't think that we steal him back. I'm not even aware that we're really pressing on him as a wide receiver recruit to steal him back because Leonard Manuel, again, like many players, was early committed to Miami, decommitted, flipped to Florida. I don't know, but as the wide receiver position recruiting stands right now, it's in a good spot. For me, Marcus Fleming is a track star. Xavier Restrepo just gets open all the damn time. Michael Redding III is an amazing player, with size and speed and skill, who dominated. I mean, he played really, really well at the opening. I don't know how all of their rankings went down, but that's a debate for another time. But Michael Redding III, Bud Elliott, my SB Nation colleague, the main SB Nation recruiting writer, analyst, coordinator, whatever you want to call it, he was at IMG because he lives over in Fort Myers for their media day today. And obviously, Bud was the founder of is the founder of Tomahawk Nation and things of that nature. So, he had obviously previously written about and spoken to Michael Redding III. He asked him directly, he said, yeah, so what was the deciding factor in you picking Miami? And he said, small class size and the aerospace engineering major. And so, but followed up, he said, okay, so I know you were projected to go to Florida State for a while. I know that, family ties and things like that. And Michael Reagan III blatantly said the deal breaker was the fact that Florida State did not have the aerospace engineering major that I want. And had he not come to Miami, he would have went to Notre Dame or Purdue out of state because they have the major that he wants to pursue in college. So I say all of that just to kind of give you background. But where we are in the wide receiver recruiting, I think is good. I don't know if where things stand with Daslin Worsham, who was committed to Alabama and looked like he was going to come to Miami. I don't know if that's still the case. Haven't heard much about that recently. Maybe he might not end up coming here or committing here or something like that. But Leonard Manuel is a person who has not been on my radar for a while in terms of connection with Miami. But, recruiting is a fluid construct and it can always change.
One condition and disclaimer as we put a wrap on the whole bracket of the best football factories that has to be taken into consideration is that ESPN, for all of its research and so forth, is putting on a TV show. So they can't really put the advanced metrics that you would to really do a valid job of going through the layers and layers and then outlining, which I'm sure they did verbally to a certain extent. Are we rating all these players as college players or as NFL players or some combination of both?
I will hop in here. It was a combination. Yep. They did put the rubric up on the screen. I saw it in passing. I don't recall all of it, but it did have a little bit of both in there.
Yeah, so that's the first thing that needs to be stated. Classic example would be Tim Tebow. Great all-time college quarterback, a not-so-good NFL quarterback, even though he went 7-4 as the starting quarterback in the NFL. And I would argue that who has ever gone 7-4 as the starting quarterback in the NFL and never been given a shot? But we know great defense and support and so forth. So I'm not saying that he was a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL. But that's the first thing I ask when anybody brings up that age-old question, who produces the best NFL players? Well, were we talking about them as NFL players? We're talking about them as collegiate players, because of course, as soon as you said Ken Dorsey on the third team, I thought, okay, this is either a combination or it's as collegians, because of course, the likes of Steve Walsh and Craig Erickson were decent NFL players beyond what Ken Dorsey was in the NFL.
Exactly. So we just named 5 quarterbacks that were not mentioned that could have been on the second or third teams for Miami. And again, for me, whichever way you want to go, college or pro, the answer is Miami. But continue.
Of course it is. I would have to delve a little bit deeper, but obviously I was actually walking with a guy who said, he brought it up to me and I didn't even know what was going on. And he said, yeah, I see this breakdown we're doing on NFL Live, blah, blah, blah. And he mentions Ohio State and Miami. That must have been the matchup at the time. And I think they finally grinded it down to Miami USC and they gave it to USC. He made the comment, Miami's pretty much just a quick deal. And I used your term, Cam, I stole it from you. I said it's a microwave dynasty. I said, all of that production minus the outliers like a Jim Otto. Was O.J. Anderson even mentioned? He's Pro Football Hall of Famer.
Yeah, exactly. Like, bro,
he just came to mind as being outside of the dynasty years.
Yeah, but still, NFL Hall of Famer.
Sure.
Like, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP. Like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, there's, like, even if you, like, peel back the onion and you go a couple layers down from, like, the names that everybody knows. And the thing about it is, there are names that everybody knows at every position level. Names, plural. Like, that's, but it is a microwave dynasty. I mean, you said it because I said it. I said it because somebody else said it, which was a perfect term.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I will give the slight edge to USC because they've been doing it longer at this caliber level. But even still, if you reach back, Jim Otto, Ted Hendricks, Jim Burt.
Oh yeah.
Like if you go back, like, yeah. I mean, there's still guys. There's just not the preponderance in the 50s, 60s, early 70s from Miami that there were from USC. But yeah. You want to ask it? Or you want me to answer it?
High School. We don't have a name.
He's talking about Jonathan Dennis, offensive guard who was once committed to Miami and is committing somewhere on Sunday, I believe it is. He moved up his date, his commitment date to the 27th, which is Sunday. to pick a school. I think that he's going to come back to Miami. I think that would be great. I think that he would add to Antonio Smith on the interior offensive line for this class. Two of Dennis's teammates. Dennis with one N. He's of Haitian descent, so not Dennis like the Menace, but Denis, if you will, like en français. So he has two teammates committed to Miami in Jalen Francois and Keyshawn Washington, and I just haven't heard much. But then again, I haven't really looked into it too much. So I really think that Jonathan Dennis, even when he decommitted, I thought he was going to come back just like Francois and Washington did. It's just taking a little bit longer. So, we'll see what happens on Sunday. But yeah, that's when his commitment announcement date is. Excuse me, Jesus.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. This is what we do each and every Wednesday night with Cam Underwood from State of the U. And if Cam can't make it, like he won't next week.
Sorry.
Let your heart not be troubled. You can hang on for one missing week and still join me. I will do my best. I'll bring in some type of analysis from the outside, and I will give my perspective on Miami football, which I'm asked for once in a while. And, of course, we've got Florida State at 7, Ohio State at 9. And as an extra added bonus tonight, we get a report live from Hollywood at 10 o'clock Eastern time from Pac-12 Media Days, where they pack it all in one shot. 12 teams, one day
really?
in Hollywood.
Oh, that's crazy. Let not your heart be troubled, man. John 14, 1-3. We sung a song with that text in there. That takes me back. Wow, okay.
Hey,
nicely done.
Glad I could accommodate.
Absolutely. I had to hit the quick Google just to make sure. The previous question that was on the screen was asking me about the fact that 247 just did their updated proprietary rankings. So not their composite rankings, but their own 247 individual site rankings. And like a bunch of Miami players, bunch of Miami commits. Actually, every commit took a drop. I think there was one player who went up by one spot. Everybody else dropped at least one or more. I think that it's bullshit. I mean, be offended by the language or don't. I think that it is just a coordinated effort on the part of different recruiting outlets Chance Williams, people took screenshots the morning before he committed and then looked at his rating that same afternoon. And how a player, when there's no event going on and no rankings changing and nothing moving, how a player drops after committing to Miami exclusively every single time. It's just a coordinated effort. I mean, it is. You cannot say, you cannot prove to me otherwise. And I mean, you got guys who didn't play in the spring and they rose 50 places. Jalen Knighton from Deerfield Beach High School. If I'm calling names, I'm calling names. He got injured on the first day of spring, didn't play another rep anywhere at all, and he rose up in the rankings. Why? Because he's down to Florida State and Ohio State. So all of a sudden he's a better player than when Miami was recruiting him. Michael Redding III, like I said, he went out and showed out at the opening, which you would think, okay, is a thing that, you have all the guys there, all of the people who do the ratings for 247. You would think, okay, yeah, he put on the show in front of them and that would impact positively his ranking. Wrong, dropped. I'm sick of it. And this is where it comes to the point of you have to do your own evaluations. You have to trust your own eyes and not necessarily only go by what the rating sites say because it's crazy. I mean, there are guys who missed entire years of high school and come back and, as a recruit and signed and they're 4 stars and 5 stars. But, Robert Burns, who was a 5-star and put on one of the greatest shows ever in the history of recruiting combines, he's a 3-star by the time he signs. Jonathan Garvin was a 3-star, but late at the signing day, bumped up to a 4-star, and he's one of the most dynamic players in America. Dominic Mammarelli, okay, he had a shoulder injury. Cool, but he's still 6'4", 235, and he can block, and he's a pass-catching dynamo up the seam from a tight end position. But he's a 3-star all of a sudden just because he had a labrum issue as a high school junior. It is infuriating. And that is going to obviously, because recruiting rankings on these websites and the composite and those things, you use those as fodder for, content for us. And then, the coach is saying, hey, come be one of the best. And like those conversations come up. And I just think it's asinine that, every player who's committed to Miami or being strongly pursued by Miami saw a drop in their rating, but anybody associated with Clemson, Georgia, or Alabama all of a sudden just rose up. There's even a kid, I forget his goddamn name. He played quarterback in high school as a junior. He didn't even play spring. He ran 10-3 in the 100. He played well at a couple 7-on-7 things. He went up 300-something spots. He's a 5-star now all of a sudden. What? Based upon what? There's a clear Miami bias, and once is an accident, twice is a trend, 3 times is evidence, but we're working on year 10 of this. Get in where you fit in, do what you want to do. I mean, that's all I have to say about that. Yeah. Anyway.
I will say, playing devil's advocate to a certain degree, and you know so much more about the recruiting game than I do, but the top 8 to 20 classes that program and the coaching staff brought in over the past 4 to 5 years, and that's generally where they've been. I remember it topping out at 8 in the rankings, and I think 20 or 22 was the lowest. Those, aside from the 2017 team, those have not translated to teams that have ranked that high generally in the rankings. So the inverse would seem to be true, though.
The inverse
meaning that the classes were rated higher coming out of high school than what they were able to produce on the field.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that you don't realize potential doesn't mean that the potential didn't exist. You know what I mean? Because recruiting is all about potential. You have to develop it. You have to eventually turn potential into performance. That's what I've been talking about with N'Kosi Perry. Preview to the remix, I believe that his player profile comes out either tomorrow or Friday. And that line is in there. Because, yeah, you do have to turn potential into performance, but that doesn't mean that they weren't high caliber recruits. That means that you didn't get that out of them. You know what I mean? If a guy runs 4.3 and then you're not able to get him to run 4.3 anymore, that's part on him, but part on you of not unlocking that potential, because we've already seen him run 4.3. So I know he has the capability to run 4.3 or similar. But you get what I'm saying. If you have some kind of demonstrated output on the field and he doesn't reach that again, that's upon you for not putting him in a position and training him to do that. It doesn't mean he didn't have the potential to do that consistently, because he did it intermittently, because we recruited him because of that intermittent show that he put on. But yeah.
Dennis, I see you with Alonzo Highsmith. Good call right there. Rob Chudzinski comes to mind as well at tight end. Greg Olson, I don't know where he ranked on the various first, second, or third teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Mr. Ardois put him on like third team. But again, that was just a Canes fan who put up the second and third teams just to show the amount of talent on all of those teams. Austin Canes asked a question, do I think that academics really play a role when recruiting or when recruits are picking their colleges? I think it does for some. I definitely do think it does for some. It doesn't for everybody, and there's different things. It's, if you go back to like, what was that, NCAA 13, that had all those different, like, because I like that recruiting interaction on the video game, but it had all the different pitches you could have, proximity to home, championship caliber, professional development, all those kind of things, yada, yada, yada. I think that honestly, those things matter. And like having, I mean, it's not a secret. I mean, it kind of was an unspoken thing before, but like I used to work at a high school. I used to work at Miramar High School for 11 years. So I saw all those recruits. I know all those guys personally: Jermaine Grace, Malcolm Lewis, Ivan McCartney, Tracy Howard, Geno Smith. I wasn't really close with Geno, but like, I mean, you can throw me a nod, say I saw him at Aventura a couple of years ago. He knows who I am. So I say all that to say, with all those different guys, like there was different things that mattered to them. Even for the guys who went to a FCS team or a D2, there's different things that matter to them as the deciding factor, them and their families per se. So do I think that academics plays a role? Yes, invariably. Do I think that academic plays a role for everybody? Absolutely not, because it's just not a thing that they worry about. Some people, okay, cool. I can go anywhere and get that liberal arts degree. I can go anywhere and get a communication arts degree and pass with a 2.3, while I still ball out because I want to be here to play. So yeah, that's my answer. Do I think that academics matters? Yes. To everybody? No, just because, there's different strokes for different folks, and, everything what they value changes on an in-person basis.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. For whatever reason, that didn't flip over. There we go. We come your way with Miami football talk each and every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And also, of course, Cam Underwood's time to break it down each and every week for us. He does take a week off from time to time. Next week will be one of those weeks, but I expect to see at least another 230 on the line next week, because I will do my very best to provide some Miami football talk for you next week without Cam. I am very much appreciative, as Cam is, by the number of people that have contributed to the super chat tonight. So thank you so much. I will make one consideration that I want you to understand. So I apologize for this. We're using a different application tonight. It's called StreamYard, and you can see, I think it's a much better platform. I can set up different shots. I can display the comments, the tweets, do a better job of graphically identifying Cam and myself, and so forth and so on. So I see the live chat, but it's not in the same display window as YouTube. So YouTube will light up super chat contributions so that I can see them. So I apologize if I missed any that I wasn't able to properly acknowledge you. So anytime you guys want to let me know about any kind of suggestion or recommendation that you have, or if you had a question that we weren't able to get to, or you just want to let me know, hey, Mark, I contributed. I just want to say, hey, and I contributed. You didn't recognize me. That's not by choice, but that's not intentional. You can always contact me at markrogerstv at gmail. markrogerstv at gmail, right there. All right. Yes, plenty of likes. Bring them in. We got 224 on the line. We've got a few more minutes with Cam.
Nice.
Anything else that you'd like to hit on? Because again, there have been a ton of really great comments tonight that I just couldn't get to.
Man, yeah. Appreciate everybody being on the line. First of all, thank you for all the comments and whatnot. Because you guys help out. And I love just talking with you guys. In general, we're always just grinding over at State of the U, man. Been doing this 100 greatest plays countdown, quarterback by Marshall Thomas. You really wanted to take that on. So, we've been doing that. We're at play number 30, which was the Devin Hester punt return against Louisville in 2004. If you remember last year, that was in the Games We Love feature that we did last summer. And that was one of my nominations for a game to include in that based on this play. That was my senior year in college. That was a Thursday night game. I had either a performance or a music theory or some kind of test the next morning. And I said, you know what? I don't care. Like, whatever. I'm smart enough. I'm good enough. People like me. So I'm just going to go out to the game and hang out. And I of course, expected us to blow them out, and that didn't end up happening. So that's where we are in the countdown with a lot of great plays still left. I know that we're getting to the point where people are really going to start to get in their feelings about their favorite play being a little bit lower than maybe they wanted in the top 30-ish. But, the point of fact is, even by being a microwave dynasty, Miami has such great history and such iconic plays that there's just a lot to choose from. So it was a big undertaking, and I shout out Marshall because that was him. He wanted to do it. He wanted to take it over. He wanted to run with it, and he's done a great job and everything. So I'll probably hop in there and write a couple plays up my darn self and everything. So we're working on that. We have our perfect position rooms. We have our player profiles. We have position previews, game previews, film breakdowns, recruit breakdowns, recruit interviews, the brand new SB Nation Fan Pulse, where you can sign up and give your opinion on the top 25 every single week. And then, there will be questions created for the site contributors at State of the U to respond to with you guys every week. So that's pinned to the front of the page of the website, stateoftheu.com. So please sign up for the Fan Pulse. That's I've seen that we have some really good engagement on that already. And that's really pretty cool. So keep going with that. We want to hear from you guys. You guys say, hey, I can do what Cam does. I can give you the top 25 more accurately than Mark ever could. Sign up for the Fan Pulse, and then we'll see. So that's one of the things that we have up there. The recruiting rules, my feature from last summer about how teams build championship rosters is still up there. That's one of our 10 poles of content. That and so much more. And always free. always a click away. And we try to just present to you with so much content that you're never wanting, all the watch list things that Mark was talking about previously, and even moving forward. So yeah, stateoftheu.com is the website. We're on twitter.com or on Twitter at The State of the U. My personal account is at Underwood Sports. On Facebook.com/The State of the U. On Instagram.com or Instagram, we are at The State of the U as well. So any channel that you want to engage with us in, we're going to try to definitely ramp up our social engagement even from where it is. And I know that I've driven it to be pretty strong. That's how we have almost 35,000 followers on Twitter and 55,000 on Facebook. But if you're complacent with where you are, then you're sliding backwards. If you're never growing, then you're fading. So we got to put the pedal to the metal and keep on pushing, but we can't do that without you guys. So first of all, thank you. Hopefully you check out all of our content in all those places. Hopefully we will have, some other live events and things like that throughout the season where you can, see my face and shake my hand and, you can buy me a beer. I won't turn it down. But all those different kind of things. So yeah, we always just keep going. So even though I am going out of town again for the umpteenth time this summer, but hey, it's the summertime, like relax. You still get your content, things like that. But yeah, like I said, my friend's getting married, so it's a bachelor party outing. I don't know if I said where that's going to, and if I did, I apologize because I didn't mean to. But anyway, all those things are always there. stateoftheu.com, twitter.com/The State of the U, Underwood Sports, facebook.com/The State of the U. Come fan with us because we're always there.
You did to me, Cam, but you're safe. I don't think you did to the general public. So,
yeah.
So did that comment almost slip by me that there's going to be a top 25 that's more accurate than Mark Rogers' TV's top 25? Is that what I heard?
I just said, I know that people who watch think that they can be more accurate than you. And so if they do, we're offering them a way through which they can prove their prowess, right, which is the fan post through SB Nation and State of the U, which is right on the front page. Click the sign up. You do your first top 25 right there. You'll get emailed the link to do your voting every single week, on a Sunday, I want to say. And then, we'll respond also as well. So I'm not saying that they will be more accurate, but if people think that they can be more accurate, this is how they can endeavor to prove it.
Now, I really need to run, but I'll make this one comment for people that have never seen me during the regular season. So I come out with a top 25 each and every Sunday that actually makes sense. That's the banner, the top 25 that actually makes sense. And it's kind of funny and humorous to some people, or I get a total beating the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season because, for example, week 1, if Maryland comes out and beats Texas, I don't necessarily think Maryland is, let's say, the 8th best team in the country, but that's their resume at that point. 1-0, they beat Texas. I will rank them 8th or 12th or 13th or 3rd or wherever I think that they've earned that spot for that week. That's how I play it. And then the season plays out and I rank that accordingly. So that's just how I do it. And I take a beating for it. But some people understand the logic and actually give me a little pat on the back for that.
Hey, man, whatever works. I saw your. Thank you, Florida fan George, who said that the facility at Miami is awesome. Appreciate that. You'll enjoy the score that we put up on the scoreboard in a month also. See you, buddy.
As somebody noted in the live chat, and I thought this was very apropos and it stuck with me, 1 month from right now, the game will be in the books. The 24th of August, the 24th of July, we are 1 month away.
It's a 7 o'clock kickoff. It might still be in the second half.
Oh, it's 7 o'clock. Why did I thought it was 3:30 based on that comment. Okay. Yes, we're still watching the game.
Right.
All right, Cam, thank you so much. Have a great time.
Yeah, definitely, Mark. Appreciate it. I will see you guys probably in 2 weeks. Somebody from somewhere will keep the fort, or keep the boat going, as it were. So, it's been fun. It's been real. It's been real fun. See you guys.
All right, everybody else, let's keep it going. Ohio State football talk coming right back next.